Peter Weather. I spent most of my life in the investment business in London and overseas. I think, in fact, that's from 1972 through till over 2000, over 30 years in investment management and corporate finance. And then the last 10 years I've spent advising small businesses in Hampshire and Dorset, Sussex, raising money and growing and hoping to avoid to go broke.
What was your first involvement with an entrepreneur?
I suppose I could go back to something called Cash America over in the States, which was in fact one of the first pawnbroking operations to go on the market. And it was private when I first came across it. It was based in Houston in Texas, Dallas in Texas, because most of my work has been overseas, not in the UK. And there was a group of entrepreneurs there who set up this pawnbroker operation, which in America became a very, very big sort of payday loan type of company. Probably a group called the Wedge Group, which was three entrepreneurs, Bob Waltrip, Sam Douglas and Wayne Getch, who had a number of businesses, one of which was called Service Corp International, which became, over a period of time, the biggest funeral home company in the world, the biggest undertaker in the world, and bought up a number of ones over here. Beautifully cynical. It's easier to start up in the States. It's easier to obtain money, investment, and family, friends, and anyone. The angel network in the States is far, far advanced to what we've got here, and they're prepared to take more risks. Secondly, there is quite a lot of there are more entrepreneurs, if you like, per head, and also because if you go broke, an investor will look at you and say, well, okay, fine, you went broke, but you've learned from that, I hope, and pick yourself up and we'll give you another chance. There's much more acceptance of the fact of risk, if you like. Rewards are very high. Silicon Valley was built entirely on risk capital, if you think about it, and great people like Oracle and all that sort of thing. Yeah, so I would say it is a much easier landscape. Also, they used to have what are called SBA loans, Small Business Administration loans, which were sort of subsidised loans, which would help small businesses. Okay? And they look at everything on a much bigger scale. So here we have the startup loan scheme that the government's just started of £500,000, £5,000. Quite frankly, £5,000 won't pay 2 months' rent. Unless you want to be a hairdresser or something like that. But if you want to start up a technology startup, you can't do it on £5,000.
Sure. What key aspect of business would you say is most important for a startup?
Realism, ambition, and at the end of the day, sales.
So you're saying sort of the market, making sure the market's there?
Making sure the market's there, making sure you've got a route to market. There's no point in having a wonderful service or a wonderful product if you can't get it there. So, and realism as well. You're not going to rule the world overnight.
Okay. What do you see as the biggest challenge for businesses starting up currently?
I think there's two. One is obviously general economic climate is not helpful. And secondly is obtaining finance is very difficult.
And lastly, what 2 bits of advice would you give to a student coming out of university looking to set up their own business?
I would say the most important thing is do what you know.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Something you know something about. Don't try and do something you don't know anything about. I know that sounds very, very simple, but it is. I've seen too many people think, oh, I can do that, and they can't. Okay. So if you're particularly profound, but I don't. It's a very difficult one for students because you've got a situation where you've got a lot of where most startups need money. Very difficult to start on 500 quid. Now, James, who used to be head of Fish on Toast 2 years ago, He just raised £250,000 for his business up in the Midlands, and he needed £250,000. My other advice, I'm afraid, would be get a job for 2 years and then start your business. I mean, that's a very serious, in my opinion, it's the best thing you can do is whilst you're doing this, get a job. There's an interesting, Michael Spencer of ICAP, okay? ICAP, the biggest interbroker dealer in the world. Michael Spencer made £30,000 when he was at Oxford trading shares. He then went to Drexel Burnham and as a trader got fired for bad trading. He's now the head of the biggest Intercap, well, ICAP, is now the biggest interbroker dealer in the world. So here, again, don't give up. It's another one. The other one is Hargreaves Lansdowne. Have you heard of them? Yeah. But Peter Hargreaves started. He was a computer salesman, and he started what is now one of the biggest broker wealth management companies in the country from his bedroom, whilst he was working as a computer salesman. So that's another piece of advice, if you like. Now, I my number one piece of advice would be do it from your bedroom.